Thank you, Matthew, for giving me opportunity to talk with you and accepting to be on my show.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks so much for reaching out. I was a little surprised, but really excited, to get to talk to somebody like face to face about my writing and stuff.
So I've gone through a profile and came to know that you're an author and uh, you're a writer. So I thought to tell about you and your work to the people who are following me and who subscribe to my channel and who are watching and listening to me in all the social platforms.
Cool. Perfect.
So can you please introduce yourself to my audience and to the world?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Matthew McGuirk. I'm a part-time writer and full-time English teacher living in New Hampshire, which is like the sort of northeast quadrant of the United States. Yeah, and I have a wife and a daughter, and we have another kid on the way. So kind of booming both social and also professional life, which is cool. Everything seems like it's going really well, which is good. I mean, that might be good, I guess. I don't know if you need anything else, but
Yeah, I got you. So you're a full-time teacher and you're a part-time writer. So when did you start writing and what inspired you to become a writer? You are already a teacher and do you have any motivation or anything that made you to become a writer?
yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I feel like I've been writing as far back as I can remember. I used to scribble sort of, my handwriting's pretty sloppy, but scribble, novels and stuff in, notebooks. And then it sort of just went from there. And then, I'd say I wrote something, pretty long, in like eighth grade, and then did like a revision of it in high school and showed it to one of my English teachers, and she was pretty supportive, which was cool. Looking back at it now, I mean, I looked at it the other day, and the writing was obviously, not great compared to what I do now, because it was a dozen or more years ago now. But so I guess that's sort of where it started. Just always sort of had an interest in it, and then getting that push and stuff like that from different people around me. Like, my sister would sit next to me. She's 4 years younger, and she'd wait for my next chapter to come out, and she'd read that, which was cool. So just getting that extra support from everybody. And now my wife reads everything before I send it out to magazines and stuff. So it's a cool process, I think. As far as like the teaching aspect, my mom's a teacher as well, so that sort of pushed me in that direction. I've always loved to read and write, so it makes sense kind of putting those two things together, which is cool.
So you're an English teacher. So
Yeah,
how,
I teach. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. So how much experience you have as a teacher?
This coming year, starting Friday will be my 8th year teaching in the classroom. I was also a paraprofessional working with, special needs students for 3 years as well, and a substitute teacher for 4 years while getting my bachelor's degree. So I sort of have been in education for, what's that? 12, 15 years, something like that. Not a math teacher, I guess, but so I've been in education a while. This is going to be my 8th year, like I said, full-time teaching, which is cool.
So can I say teaching the profession of yours made you
I think I might be losing you.
the way? Can you hear me?
You're going in and out just a little bit. I think you might be good now.
Yeah. So can I say your profession made you to become a writer? Because English is one of the languages with which human communicates and connects with other human being, which is a collection of words, sentences, paragraphs, everything. So can I say that is one of the major things that made
Yeah.
you to become a writer?
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely think, my teaching experience and being in the classroom, especially the English classroom, has really, pushed me in the direction of obviously like loving the written word, but, wanting to put some of my own stuff down on the paper after, reading all these great texts from people, you know what I mean? Because I've always liked, like I said, I always like to read and write and stuff, starting back. I always love like spooky stuff, kind of. Like, I don't know if you know, like R.L. Stine, like Goosebumps and stuff. I started that and like, I don't know, before I can really remember. And then Stephen King, like one of my favorite authors, kind of went that direction. A whole bunch of other ones too. But yeah, so I definitely think that had a huge influence, both teaching, the great literature and also, doing some personal reading and stuff too, had great influences in me wanting to write my own stuff down.
So how good you are as a communicator?
I think that I'm pretty good as far as communication goes. In the past, this would have been, pretty challenging for me. Like even in high school, I really hated presenting in front of people. So it's kind of funny that I picked teaching, in all honesty. But I took like a public speaking course in college, and that seemed to help me out. We had to like record ourselves and then watch it back, which was like mortifying, but I think helpful at the same time. And it's nice to be able to connect, with the students that are a little nervous on, on the speaking aspect on that platform as well, and be able to tell them, I was never really great at it either, but here I am talking in front of you guys all the time. And as far as like written communication, I think that goes pretty well. I try to use a couple different styles in my writing, I think. Some of the prose or short stories are written a little bit more poetically, which I kind of get that feel once in a while. And then other times they're like a little bit more gritty, I would say. So I guess I don't know if that thoroughly answers your question or not, but.
So communicating through the vocal cord is different from communicating through the words, and being invisible is different. So how do you explain about this, speaking and writing?
As far as the connection between the two, I mean, like I said, I've always thought I was a little bit better through written word, and I don't know where that comes from, but I always like to connect with people on whatever level, like hanging out with people or whatever. I love to have conversations just like this, whether it's telling stories or whether it's, just talking about their day or whatever, So, yeah, I mean, I think they are different, but I like to tell, my students that they're all sort of part of the English realm, and they're all really important, communicating like this might even be, more important than written communication. You know what I mean? As far as like everyday life skills, but, the written communication is definitely important too, and being able to, read through what other people have written and understand it. You know what I mean? If they're going to read through a mortgage contract or whatever, they want to make sure they understand what they're getting themselves into, So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Does that thoroughly answer your question, I guess?
Yeah, I got you.
Perfect.
So writing. So what did you write for the first time when you got this thought to become a writer?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there are a couple different parts of me, I guess. There are the parts of me that, looking back in middle school when I was writing, I sort of consider that like the start of my writing. But I took some creative writing courses at college, and, that was sort of like another layer, I guess, where I wrote a few short stories and I wrote a novella. And all of them are sort of still on the shelf at this point. So I don't know if I would consider that like my, like breakthrough, author point, I guess. And then I actually took, and I don't know if it was intentional or unintentional, or if it's just what my mind needed or body needed or whatever. I didn't write for like 5 years actually, before the pandemic. And then last November, I just sat down, and my wife and I and my daughter were in an apartment at the time. Sat down in the apartment one night and started going over some of my old writing, and then started getting some new ideas. And then since then, I wrote like over 100 pieces between short stories, poems, like I said, a revised copy of that novella, and some other stuff. So sort of all over the map. And then I had never sent anything out really, to anyone before January. So I just was like, she liked the stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna try it. I'm just gonna send it out and see what people think. I like it. You like it. So I started sending it out to journals, and it takes some persistence because you definitely get some rejections from people, and you definitely get some where you don't even, maybe even hear back from them really. But then you get that first acceptance, which my first one came in February, which was really cool. And the email was like shocking. I had to read it over like 3 or 4 times just to make sure they were actually taking my work, which was cool. And then the first published piece, I guess, would be like the next step. So like, sending a piece out was like one layer, I guess, and then getting the acceptance was another layer, and then actually seeing the work published where other people can look at it was, I guess, like the real moment where I considered myself a writer. So seeing that published, it was May 10th. I had a short story published with Literally Stories, which is an online magazine out of England. So when that was published, and it was like the story of the day, I was like, that's cool. Now people can see my stuff, which is interesting. So I guess that would be my sort of long-winded answer to your question.
So what is the response that you got for the expressions, for your expressions through writing of yours?
Yeah. I think, for the most part, sometimes with social media and the internet and stuff, it's tough to tell. Because right now all of my stuff is published through online magazines, journals, and stuff like that. So most of my feedback comes from people that follow me on Twitter or Instagram. Whether that's through like a personal comment on my post, or whether that's through I've had a few comments on the specific websites before, and I think pretty positive overall, which is good. Like I said, I don't know if I try to do this, but I write sort of an eclectic collection of stuff. So that could be good or bad, I guess. If you like one thing by me, something else might be a little different, which could be a good thing or could be a bad thing. So definitely probably some people gravitate more towards, maybe something like funnier that I write. I write some stuff that's sort of funny. Maybe they gravitate towards that, or maybe they gravitate towards more of the serious topics. Recently I've had 2 or 3 stories published about addiction. So, publishing something like that's a pretty heavy topic, and, might not be the best for some people, or might hit too close to home or something. Whereas other people might be like, this is perfect. This needs to be out there, which is cool. So I think overall, pretty positive. At this point, I'm just sort of trying to grow my readership on, the different social media platforms, and the more people I can get my words out to, the better, which is why I was so thankful that you reached out to me, which is really cool. Maybe get some new readers, which would be awesome. So I guess pretty positive overall, I think, through comments and through interactions with people.
So how you're feeling, you're communicating with the world through this medium?
Yeah, I think, I feel good about it. Obviously with writing, there's a sense of vulnerability, which I don't know if that's the main reason why I had never sent something out before January. Whether people like to admit it or not, even if it's a fictional story, which, I'd say like almost all the stories I've published are fictional. I have 2 nonfiction pieces. One's like a film review, and one's what was the other thing? Just like a nonfiction piece about the mall. So they're like, anything that's fiction still has a sense of truth in it, whether it's specifically true about me, or true about the world, or true about, friends I have or relatives or whatever. So it's definitely, writing is definitely a vulnerable process, I would say. So putting that stuff out there at first, made me a little nervous. I have have friends in school, a psychology teacher, is a psychology teacher that works across the hall from me gonna read into what I'm saying and think something weird about me, or whatever. But no, I mean, I think it's been a fun process putting stuff out there, and I think, like I said, overall, I think a pretty positive review. And the more stuff I get out there, I guess, like, the more I don't know, the more people can kind of see, what I think about on a daily basis, even if it's mostly fictional. Like I said, there's always a sense of truth in there in one aspect or another. Even if you're writing, science fiction, there's something in there probably, that has a sense of truth for you or a friend or a family member or something. So I guess that's what I would say about that.
So, have you published any books on Amazon right now?
So right now, I don't have any published collections or published books. That's my very next step. Like I said, my first piece just came out in May, so I don't have anything to hold up to the screen. Like I watched a few of your interviews and they held books up and stuff like that. I don't have anything like that. I definitely think, if any, publishers are watching or anything, I've got a bunch of stuff that will probably be going out, before the end of the year for people to look at. And if they're interested in publishing, a collection of my short stories, or they like my work or whatever, they could be on the lookout for that, because I could be sending that out, like I said, before the end of the year. But I don't have anything right now specifically out, for the readers or the watchers, your readers or watchers here, to look up. They can definitely find a whole bunch of my work as far as short story form, poetry form. I can give you a bunch of links too if you want to link the stories to the video, or I don't really know how that works. But so I definitely say I have probably 5 different either chapbooks or story collections that could go out before the end of the year. I'm probably going to look for like a regular publisher versus like self-publishing it, ideally, I think. So I'll see, I guess what they think of like the bigger collections, because right now I've really only sent out like shorter pieces, like each magazine accepts like a piece or two or whatever. So I guess that would be the next step in my writing career, I guess, would be trying to get like a collection of stuff together. But, if people like my work, I hope at some point to have a collection of short stories out there, and some longer works eventually too. Like I said, I have at least one novella shelved right now, just because I've been so into like the shorter form, so into poetry and short stories and all that. It's just consumed me recently.
So definitely, I'll put the links of yours in the description of this video on YouTube. People who finds our video on YouTube can see the work that you did, and can communicate, and can do collaborations with you. And so can you tell more experiences of yours as an English teacher, because which is the major reason why uh, which played major role in your life to become a writer. So can you explain you as a teacher, some of your experiences?
Yeah. Oh, as a teacher? Sure. And
Yes.
how that connects. Yeah, definitely. I mean, on a daily basis, and I'd never, obviously, for confidentiality reasons, put an actual student name in my stories or anything, or poetry. But a lot of the stuff, I mean, people even see that there's some aspects of the classroom present in a lot of my published work. Or even just like the connections. I mean, on a daily basis, a teacher connects with, I don't know, a ton of people. You know what I mean? If I have, 20 students per class, I have 3 classes plus an advisory, that's like 80 students, plus you're interacting with people in the hall and other teachers and all that. So I just think, just in general, the interactions with different people and hearing sort of what's going on with them and their life experiences, and even just how their day is going. A student might go off on a riff of something bad that happened at home or whatever, and that might find a way to, in a sense, weave into one of my stories, or might spur a different idea. Even just on my prep period, we had to. This gives you, I guess, like a little bit of idea about my process. On my prep period, we did hall duty. So I'd like kind of walk around the hall or whatever and make sure students weren't, in the bathroom smoking or whatever. So I was walking around the hall, and the door monitor said something like, "Oh, you have on 2 different socks today." And that sort of just, that along with one other thing, spurred an idea in my head for a short story, which was kind of cool. I won't give that one away because it's not published yet, but yeah, so definitely it just kind of, I guess, just the everyday experience, and just even having a dialogue like this is cool, because then when I go to put dialogue in my story, it's a little bit more authentic. If I can use, like maybe like slang or whatever, or however, certain words that students would use versus maybe I wouldn't use. So I think just enriching the dialogue present in the stories, which is good. And like I said, it even spurs different story ideas, which is cool as well. And then I think, I don't know if this was like your follow-up question. I don't want to cut you off or anything, but another huge influence on my writing would be just like where I grew up. I grew up in a very kind of rural location. So I feel like nature plays like a huge role in a lot of my short stories and poetry, whether it's, metaphorically, or whether it's, just straightforward like nature descriptions as part of the pieces. So there are a lot of my short stories and poetry that use aspects of nature as well, because I grew up on a farm, and that sort of kind of country lifestyle, I guess. Yeah.
Sounds really interesting. So, like you said, you are going to publish some of your work in coming days.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Like I said, we're starting the school year on Friday, so it might be a hectic, little while. But I have collections like designed basically to send out. They might be missing a piece or two right now, or they might be, just what somebody wants. And like I said, they're sort of all over the map too. Like I have one that's sort of science fiction-y, or like a dystopian. I have like a short story collection that I look at as a collection that has, 55,000 words right now, and like 20 stories or 25 stories. I've got a collection, sort of these older guys reminiscing back on their past, and it's a little spooky too, with this farmer. 3 of those stories have been published online, so I could see that as being a collection as well. So it's just sort of all over the map as far as like what I have, but that might be good, because certain publishers or magazines might be interested in one genre versus another, which is good. Yeah, so hopefully, like I said, before the end of the year, I'm hoping to send some stuff out, like full collections or, chapbooks or whatever. Would be great, I think, to see a full collection out there. And I think, some of the people that read me pretty consistently would probably like that, which is good.
So, what are your favorite books?
Oh, I'm all over the map with that too. And that sort of maybe contributes to why I write the way I do, I guess, too, and why I'm sort of all over the map with that also. But like I said, 2 of the bigger ones when I was growing up, way back, it would have been like R.L. Stine and Goosebumps and stuff, maybe up to like, I don't know, like 5th grade or 6th grade or whatever it was. And then I think I started to dip into Stephen King and some of his longer stuff, which was cool. I remember reading like The Shining and stuff. It was a great text. I'm trying to think. I read so many of his novels. It's even hard to like. And, I still do. It's even hard to put them all down. And then, in high school, I feel like I sort of broadened out a little bit more. And then, of course, being an English major in college, we read all of the texts that were on the syllabus and stuff like that. So reading a lot more of the classic stuff like Shakespeare. And I took quite a few courses for text like outside of the U.S. too, and outside of England and all of that. So checking out like a cool, what do you want to call that? Sorry, I'm spacing. Like a world lit class in college. So we read a whole bunch of stuff from all over the world, which was cool. And then, of course, right now, as far as teaching goes, I teach mostly like 10th graders and 12th graders. So the 10th grade curriculum, which I love a lot of the books in there, we teach like Macbeth, which is Shakespeare, obviously. We teach Animal Farm, which is a great text. We teach Beowulf, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Might be mispronouncing that. Sorry. And then seniors to teach World Lit, which I think touches on a lot of cool issues as well. We read like Frank McGuirk, Angela's Ashes, which is cool. We read The Kite Runner, which is a cool text. Read The Namesake before with them. So a lot of cool kind of all over the map sort of text there. So like I said, I sort of have an eclectic taste as far as reading and writing goes. I don't know if you pegged me for a favorite, it'd be pretty tough. I guess like personal reading, I guess I'd probably pick Different Seasons by Stephen King, which has 4 different novellas in it. Shawshank Redemption and The Body, which inspired Stand By Me, and 2 others as well. So I think that's probably what I picked for like personal reading. As far as my favorite to teach, probably Macbeth. Students seem to like the blood and gore and stuff like that.
So you have experienced and you know how people react to you when you express with your facial expressions or with your gestures, and now you're trying to just show the words and try to tell the story that you have in your mind, and how you relate with this communicating with human beings by showing the complete your physical self, and communicating with human beings without showing your physical self. So how there's 2 different ways of communication uh, uh, worked for you and working for you, and is going to work for you, because uh, it's completely different. Speaking, public speaking, looking at them and looking at their expressions and trying to react to them is completely a different experience from not looking at them and they are not looking at you and trying to send the message or the story that you have in your mind just through this medium. Just by they have to you have to just create impact in their minds just by seeing the words that is there in your collection. So how uh, will you explain about these 2 different communicating mediums that you have?
Yeah, totally. And I thought this is a kind of it's a great question. Because day to day, like when I'm teaching, if somebody has a question on something that I said, they can raise their hand and ask me the question right in that moment, and I can clarify. Whereas if somebody's reading through something of mine and has a question, if they want to go through the effort, they can type an email or a comment or a DM or whatever on Twitter or whatever, and then they can get their answer. But a lot of people won't go through that effort. They might see something, they're like, oh, I'm a little confused by that, and they might stop reading completely. So it's definitely really, I guess, like a careful process, because when you're writing, you definitely don't want to, I don't know, make it as straightforward as everything all the time. Because that takes a little fun out of it. You definitely want your readers thinking and stuff like that, and trying to get the full experience and all that. But at the same time, if you put something in that makes no sense, and they're confused, they may not pick anything else up by you because of that one specific line you put in or whatever. So I definitely think it's a careful process, I would say, as far as the writing the piece. And I don't know, I think, another piece with the writing, as far as, how I can put myself out like this, in school, I definitely have to put, I guess, more of a filter on, if that makes sense. I definitely couldn't, say everything like I said in my writing. Some of the contents, borderline. Like I said, some people might not even, gravitate towards it because it's about addiction, or it's about, whatever. So that specific thing, or a lot of people would, but that sort of thing might not be a topic of conversation as thoroughly in a classroom. It might be more of a guidance conversation, So as far as being able to put, sort of whatever within reason on paper that I want to, it's definitely a different process than in front of the classroom, where I can put quite a bit out there, and I try to have good relationships with the students and stuff like that. And, they know that I have a dog and a cat, and they know, a lot of them know my wife because she was their middle school teacher and all that. So it's just definitely a different process, I guess. But I guess that's why I like this too, because now if people read my stuff, maybe they can put a name to the face too, and maybe they can think back to something I said to you, and maybe that will be helpful to them. Maybe they'll be like, okay, well, I'll message him on Twitter and see if he can answer my question or whatever, before dropping the text altogether or whatever they might do, right? So I think that's why this is kind of cool, because it kind of bridges those two approaches.
So, for speaking, you will not have much time to think and frame the sentences and collect the words that to tell the story that is there in your mind. But when it comes to writing, you have time. You will sit somewhere and you will collect the words. And you will frame the sentences, and you will try to put it in a certain form, and you will design it, and you will have, in simple words, you will have enough time compared to speaking. And so can I say there is a difference in you, in expression while speaking and writing, because of the time?
I think time is a huge contributor to that as well. Like you're saying, a student might ask me a question right on the spot, and I can't wait, half an hour and then give them an answer or something. Ideally, I should answer right then. I may say to them, I don't have that answer right now. I'll look it up for you and get back to you. But then, there's another layer to that too, because I'm the teacher. I'm supposed to know, I guess, and as far as like the writing process, you're completely correct about that. I feel like, I don't know how everybody's writing process goes. I feel like, at least from what my wife has said, she thinks that I write pretty quickly, which, I guess, generally when I'm doing like a short story or a poem or whatever, I'll sit down at night after they're asleep, because that's the only time I can really write, after my wife and daughter are asleep. So most of my words come out somewhere between, I don't know, like 8:30 and midnight or something, somewhere in there. And I'll generally write like a first draft of the short story or the poem in one sitting. So whether it's a 50-word story or poem, or whether it's like a sort of 7,000-word story, it'll come out in one sitting, and then the next night or whatever, I'll go back through it and revise it, and then I'll let my wife see it, because she's my first reader, and she'll tell me most of the time pretty honestly, I think, whether she likes it, hates it, what she thinks might need to be improved, and sometimes we agree and sometimes we disagree, and sometimes I'll change something completely because what she said makes a lot of sense. And other times they're like, kind of like it how it is. I mean, I can see what you're saying, but yeah, I'd say most of the time she's pretty on the ball though. But yeah, definitely with the amount of time speaking versus writing, because I can wait, like I said, years before putting something out, and I need to give them an answer in that moment.
So you have started writing recently, right?
Yeah, really recently. Yeah, like I said, almost all of my short fiction, and poetry that has been published recently was written after December 1st of last year. So everything's been written within the last year. Like I said, there were a couple short stories that need a little more revision or are still sent out that I wrote prior to that, but not many. I think it was like two or three from a short creative writing class, and those are still unpublished at the moment. But yeah, really recently, as far as actually getting down and seriously writing and sending stuff out to people and all of that.
So I can understand with your words by observing you. I can understand uh, you are very focused about writing and speaking, and I can understand how I mean, because of the experience that you have as a English teacher, I think uh, it is not that tough for you to uh, become a great writer and put out your the stories in the form of writing and to reach the world. And I'm sure a lot of people will connect with you in coming days with the work that you are going to do.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that sounds great. And I think, you have a much bigger audience than I do, which is great to get some more people that might want to check out my stuff. I was, I guess, so surprised how well Twitter and everything, 'cause I wasn't even on Twitter until February, I think. Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff, how well that connects the world. I have people commenting on my stories from, Japan and India and England and all over the place. And I'm just from this like little town in New Hampshire, and it's cool that people can just like click a button and read my story and communicate with me like that. And I just think it's kind of like a cool process. And even having stuff published in different journals from different countries is amazing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
how like my experiences in just like rural New Hampshire might connect to somebody from the western border of Canada, or from like this little island in the channel of the in the English Channel, or Croatia, or wherever. I've had sort of stuff published all over those places. So it's kind of cool how the universal human experience is reached in a sense. There's a sort of commonality and experience where people can kind of get where I'm coming from and like what I'm putting on paper, even though they had a completely different experience growing up, which is interesting.
So that is what my motto is, to make people to know about the work that you are doing, uh, who are from anywhere on this planet, even from my country, or people who knows me, who lives with me or who are connected to me will know the work that you are doing by listening to your words, by listening to the work that you are doing through this video or this audio. They will know who you are and where you came from, and what you did and what you are going to do and how you did, what is working for you, and why it is working for you, and all these questions. you know uh, it is a best platform. We have a lot of platforms on internet, we can through which we can showcase our skills, talent, and the knowledge that we have using all these mediums. So that is what my motto is. So that is why the reason I contacted you, and I wanted to tell about the work that you do to the world through my medium, through my YouTube channel, through my podcast, through my social media.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. And I think what you're doing is great. I watched quite a few of the other videos and it's really cool. That you reach out and you have, like a lot of videos, which is really cool. So you've connected with a lot of people, which is awesome.
So that is what my last question is. As an English teacher, as a person who understood about the language which connects human beings and which makes human beings to connect with each other, and which is the main reason for the development of connection between human beings, and which plays without that, I don't think human can connect with each other, can show the emotions, and can tell the thoughts of each other. And you are teaching that particular language, that particular medium from long time, and you understood how it connects, and you know what are the word and you know what words create what impact, and you know how to I'm sure in your experience you might have understood the ways of communication uh, in speaking. Different people expresses the same language in English language in different ways, and different ways of expressions creates different impact. And so you understood. Uh, I'm sure you understood all these things as a teacher. So what do you say about me talking with different country people using the same language, English? I'm trying to connect with people who are from all the countries. I did videos with more than 90 to 100 country people, and I'm able to establish connection uh, between both of us. So and what do you think that is working for me as a communicator? And tell me about your words about uh, and also your observation about my videos, and also your words about my questions in this video.
Yeah, totally. So I think your approach, sort of getting this, like I said, wide audience, but also, wide set of interviews too, is really cool. You're not just interviewing one type of person either. You're interviewing people kind of across different walks of life with different experiences, different professions, all of that stuff. Like I said, I really enjoyed, that that's your approach, and that I think your audience can get like a pretty rich experience with all these different people that they're getting to hear from, which is cool. Similar to when we were redesigning the World Lit class, it used to be pretty much like just like a Brit Lit class, and I was like, why don't we throw in some text from different countries? And my department head was like, that sounds great. So now students are getting kind of a richer experience because they're getting stuff from all over the world versus just kind of centered in Western Europe or whatever. So similar to you could just do video chats from people from your country or whatever, or a certain country or a certain profession, but you're kind of spreading out the wealth and you're speaking with a lot of different people. And I think your design of the questions worked really well, and in letting me kind of talk about what I like to do, which is positive. And it says a lot, like you said, being able to communicate with all of these different people on all these different platforms about all these different subjects, and then being able to broadcast it out to people that might be interested. Sorry. So I think that is pretty cool, and it's awesome that the internet allows us to do that, and reach halfway across the world, and speak to people about stuff that people have interest in or common interests, right? So I think that your channel does that really well. Like I said, I didn't watch all the videos, obviously, but I definitely watched a chunk of them, and it was cool seeing different people's personalities too. And a lot of people I hadn't read before, but I may pick up their book now because I watched your video, and I may never have even heard of them before that, which is interesting. So I really enjoy what you do. Yeah.
So I'll put your links in the description of this video. People who finds our video on YouTube can find the work that you are doing. and can also follow you on Twitter. I'll share your Twitter link also
Yeah, I'll
on
put my Twitter. I can give you my Twitter and my Instagram and all that too.
yeah. And I'm sure in coming days, your contribution to this world is going to be extremely positive, and I'm sure you're going to continue doing what you love and make people smile with your expressions.
Awesome. Well, it was great talking with you. This was really fun.
So, can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Yeah, you can put it on whenever you want. If you want to put it on right now or whatever. Yep.
Yeah, and also can I put this video on my podcast, website, social media, internet, everywhere with your permission?
Yeah, you may put it wherever you want.
Yeah. So thank you, sir, for giving me your valuable time and spending your valuable experience here and telling what is working for you and how uh, uh, you become a writer from speaker.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thanks for
So
having me.
yeah, thank you, sir. Bye.